Welcome, friends. Welcome, family. What's going on, Ma? Maybe it's Pop. Who knows? I don't know who's watching yet. Welcome to the Watchlist. It's the morning version. I decided to jump in here quick and early for you guys because there's so much happening this week. As I think I mentioned yesterday, as you guys file in before I get to what I really want to talk about, it was day one of the RNC. We jumped in a few moments here and there and saw some of the things going on. But of course, once the day wraps up, you get a chance to really get a full, complete recap of what's happening. But I just like to dance around a few of the moments that stuck out to me. There's just way too many to actually dive really deep into. So these are some of the ones that I thought were a little bit fun. So I'm gonna let a few of you guys jump in here before we really get going on that. But the RNC is we went to a couple. I went in 2008. Did we go in '08 and 04? But we went to a couple. Of course, when Obama was there, we went to the DNC as well, out in Colorado and Denver. We also went to Minneapolis. We were there that one as well too. Then, yeah, that's right. Then we went to the ones in Cleveland. That was fun. So there was a lot going on. They put us in the garage in Cleveland at the RNC there that year. So it's always a good time at the RNC until we start talking about what is at stake in this particular round of elections. But it's morning. I'm still moving a little bit quicker. I got my coffee. I usually don't drink coffee all that much, except when it's one of these mornings. So as we pump through these, I just want to give you guys a heads up. We have Tim Scott. Tim Scott is he's a fascinating figure to me. He had his moment one time when he told the truth about some of the profiling he's experienced as a person and as a Black person in America with police. Seemed like he kind of had it figured out, and maybe he was somewhere in the middle of the road of understanding how our society works. And then he had an opportunity to work and maybe be somewhat near Donald Trump. And just like most every other Republican, I wouldn't say his mind went, because they always kind of had a lot of these policies, but he went full sycophant. It's really weird. And maybe he always was, and I wasn't paying close enough attention. But the majority of these clips I want to show you guys is from Tim Scott. It's early. Let me just jump straight into this first one so you guys can see what it is. This is how he started, apparently. This is how he started his speech yesterday at the RNC. This is Tim Scott.
Wow.
Not getting much playing, man.
Wow.
Stops when I come back. Oh, well.
Wow. Thank you so much. Wow. Wow. Wow.
So he's very similar to what fun of Hillary Clinton when the balloons came down and the confetti and she went, wow. So there's already some similarities happening with the level of energy, because apparently that, in my mind, that's what his mindset was in coming into this speech. Tim Scott said, I got to come in, give this speech, show that I'm still very happy, because as I think many of us knew, he was on the short list, one of the few finalists to be Donald Trump's running mate. And that didn't go the way he I guess it intended to. He revealed a new girlfriend. I'm not sure if they got married, something. He did multiple things that were pretty life-changing. And others wondered if this was strictly for the case of trying to make himself more electable being as the vice presidential running mate for Donald Trump. So after all that went down and it didn't work out for him, this is the speech that he gave. Let's get a little bit more of it.
Are you 4 more years of Donald Trump? Oh, me too.
Oh, yeah.
Listen, if you didn't believe in miracles before Saturday, you better be believing right now. Thank God Almighty that we live in a country that still believes in the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords, the Alpha and the Omega. And our God still saves, he still delivers, and he still sets free. Because on Saturday, The devil came to Pennsylvania holding a rifle, but an American lion got back up on his feet and he roared. Oh.
Tim Scott, a lion got back up on his feet and he roared. Again, talking about Saturday, you can expect it. This is going to be a major theme of the RNC. Their king got back up after being shot at that rally, and he roared. Again, this is the energy that Tim Scott thinks he has to bring to continue to look like he's very happy with the situation that he's in. That I guess what he's vying for now is a cabinet position. But again, it goes back to our Lord told us, still protects this nation, whatever the hell he said about that. Connecting it to God. Because somehow Donald Trump is the chosen one from God. He's God's guy. He's Jesus. They got to stop with this same narrative over and over and over again. Donald Trump is Jesus Christ. Okay, he came back, pushed the rocks aside, resurrected from the dead. There's actually a point when Marjorie Taylor Greene talked about Easter as well, too, and Trans Visibility Day, all that, of course, that same lie that was told. They got to keep connecting it to religion so that anyone who sees all the flaws in this person that they're exalting as a deity, they have to make sure that they quiet them by going, but if you talk against that, you're talking against God. Who God is Donald Trump in this case, because they need him to be Donald Trump to get people to shut the F up about all the problems that he is. So they're out on his second moment. I'm gonna go to this next one, where he basically voices what he's there for. This is what Tim Scott has invited to speak for, and everything else. He's on this situation. Here we go.
I know this is going to offend the liberal elites. Every time I say it, it offends them. Mm-hmm. But let me say it one more time. America is not a racist country.
He said it again. So again, he's going to say it again because it's going to offend the liberal elites. The liberal elites have an issue with Tim Scott saying that America is not a racist country. There's racist institutions within America. So they've fooled enough followers into believing that if someone says that there's racist institutions, there's racist systems within our country, there's things that are biased against certain folks, there's agencies that go about the way they do their work based on race, where some folks are put in lower positions or are profiled or are arrested or are not considered for opportunities, not considered for housing, have less access to voting, all these things. It's not a racist country, but it's just got racist systems and institutions. Historically, it just comes from a racist place. That's why people like Nikki Haley, back when she was in the race, had to say, yo, I don't know what we're talking about. I can't answer anything about how this country was based. Our economic system and our wealth came from a system of enslavement. It's just what it was. But we can't admit that because then we know that that connects to where we are today. They need someone like Tim Scott to put his face in front of a podium and a microphone and say, no, that's wrong because I'm a black man. And I'm going to tell you for my life, no way this is a racist country. I should have brought up the video of him detailing how he was profiled by police as a black man driving in his nice car with his congressional pin on, with a suit and tie, with his clean ass shaved head, thinking he's acceptable. He wasn't acceptable. And it was one of those moments. Most folks have it. It was one of those moments where he said, you know what? Maybe all this they're saying is some BS. Maybe they still don't accept me. Maybe they still don't think that I'm worthy of being able to walk amongst the same folks that they think deserve to be here. He's a senator. And they still profiled him. He was appalled by that. Enough so that he went and spoke publicly about how appalled he was by that. But somehow, however many years ago that was, he's found a different roundabout way to come to his republicanism. Can't be a true Republican without denying those things that happened to you. By the way, you can be a Republican, accept the fact that there's racist institutions within our country that you have been profiled against, and you didn't like that because maybe they would have mistaken you for someone who's dangerous because they see you as a danger because of who you are. And as soon as you reach for your wallet to show them your Geico card and your driver's license, they get to shooting. It's happened to people whose names are not Tim Scott. But we blow right by that because what they are concerned with is themselves. So for that moment, Tim Scott was like, this is happening to me. But once he got past that, as it happens to anyone else, who gives a damn? That's them. Those are folks that have nothing to do with my life. I'm better than them. There's always a hierarchy when it comes to these conversations, even when you're a Black person that has experienced the same stuff and you decide to get by it. I've gotten by it. You think there's some kind of superiority complex within your own being. But the folks that are profiling you see is just the same. So again, there's Tim Scott having to tell everyone that America is not a racist country. Okay, because again, they've told citizens in our country that if you confirm that and accept those obvious facts, that you're calling everyone in the country a racist. It's elementary school type of thought processes behind this. I want to switch off of Tim Scott for a second, though, because I heard this happen, but I didn't actually see it until this morning. I want to get to Mitch McConnell, because as we know, Mitch McConnell's retiring. Once the end of this this term is over, he's done. He had that moment where he froze up in a press conference a few months back, several months back, I guess now. And we haven't seen a lot of him, maybe just because they're not showing him. Maybe he is speaking just as much as he did before. But Mitch McConnell went up there, and as they were pointing out their delegates and how each state is confirming their support for Donald Trump, Mitch McConnell was the guy, the representative of Kentucky. The big name from Kentucky, been in the Senate since forever. This is the way the RNC crowd reacted to Mitch McConnell. Here, let me share this really fast. I saw this. This was fascinating.
Oh.
Madam Chairman, the Commonwealth of Kentucky proudly cast 46 votes for the next president, Donald J. Trump.
Announcement.
Boo, boo. That's good to hear clearly. Mitch McConnell went up there, talked about how Kentucky, the Commonwealth of Kentucky, supported of Donald J. Trump. Boo, before he even said anything. I'm going to tell you guys the irony in this. So the issues with the Supreme Court where there's 6 justices on, and then Donald Trump, I think, has appointed 3 of them in the form that he was promising to. We're going to make sure we overturn Roe. We're going to turn this into a Christian nationalist Supreme Court where whatever they do is they're in support of me. We see their past couple rulings. We've seen the ruling specifically about his immunity. It's going directly as planned. That ruling just yesterday from Judge Eileen Cannon, that's going to go back to the Supreme Court about his classified documents case. He's flowing with his courts because that's how you really control a country when you're a fascist. Make sure that you stack the courts in your favor, no matter what the legal precedent is or what the law is, they're ruling in your favor. The biggest assist guy for that, the John Stockton of that, was Mitch McConnell. He openly said it. He blocked Merrick Garland when Obama was in office. Blocked him completely, proudly and happily, for reasons of, oh, by the end of this election cycle, we got to make sure that the American people vote in their leader so that they can put in the right person in the Supreme Court. We don't want to do it too soon. Yet when Donald Trump was up for election and they said, if a nominee comes up, will you appoint them? He said, absolutely. Because what he's trying to do, as he said many times, from appellate courts to the Supreme Court, his objective was to put as many conservatives on the court as possible. Do you think Donald Trump chooses every judge that gets on every court? There's a coalition of people who way in advance know who it is that they want to nominate. There's probably a list of folks, whatever fits the moment. These were the folks that the Republican Party put forward because they knew how they would eventually rule. Mitch McConnell was the #1 person who was doing that. And now his ass is going off into retirement to act like he had nothing to do with this. He's #1 on this. He was doing this before Donald Trump came into power. It's just he guided directly to the way Donald Trump needed it to be for his own power structure. Mitch McConnell, yet the RNC is booing him. They're booing him as he's still supporting the guy who had some racial names for his wife as she was working in his administration, who talked trash about Mitch McConnell. That's the reasons why they're booing him now, completely forgetting the fact that he gave them everything they wanted. That's the irony of the folks at the RNC. let's move on because I've been talking so fast. This last section, I want to talk about teleprompters because Mike Johnson is one of the most annoying people in all of the Congress to me. And I just want to remind you guys, ever since, at least this is when I first started seeing it, ever since Barack Obama was in office and he used these things called teleprompters, they've been talking about the teleprompter president, can't get anything without a teleprompter. Yet every president since teleprompters were created have been using teleprompters, and after, by the way, including their messiah, Donald Trump. Still, though, Mike Johnson took his ass on stage, and he had an issue with teleprompters. Recently, Donald Trump had issues with teleprompters at a rally, and he cussed them out and said he's not going to pay these vendors and all this stuff, after again saying, I can wing it. Let's see if Mike Johnson could wing his speech at the RNC. It probably wasn't all that detailed or varied. I could have memorized some of this. It's the same beat. Here's Mike Johnson.
It is now my introduce the Attorney General, and there goes the teleprompter.
There goes. And my silly ass back off stage. Had a couple words to say, and there goes the teleprompter. And the crowd just chuckles with glee. Because it's so funny when we keep talking about how we can't say anything without teleprompters, or the opposition can't say anything without teleprompters. Suddenly, when the teleprompter goes out, they have nothing to say. Who wrote these speeches? Did you write it, Mike? Are these your words? Or are these prepared remarks to make sure that they fit a certain narrative that we guide these folks through to have this belief system that we've made sure that they're on? And when the teleprompters go out, maybe wing it, maybe talk about the things that you're concerned with in America. Say why you're here. Talk about how great the Messiah is. None of that said because it wasn't written. You have to talk about the Messiah in a certain way, at a certain time, in a certain tone and mindset. When it's gone, there's nothing. There's even folks behind him. He's like, I don't know what to do. He's like a 7-year-old at some kind of recital. I mean, he forgot his lines. It's like he can't say anything anymore. So take your ass off stage. We'll play out the runaway music. And he ran his ass away. I don't know if he said anything about this since. If he's had a chance to talk about why he froze up on stage, maybe there's some kind of a mental issue going on. Maybe he's reaching his old age and he can't speak anymore. It's very Joe Biden-esque, wasn't it? Problem is everything about this is prepared, planned, and fake. There's no authenticity. And that goes across all politics, by the way. Everything is very, very finely tuned and scripted. If it ain't on the script, shut the F up. Get out of here. You might say the wrong thing, but you might say what we've been talking about behind the scenes, and we don't want the people to know, the people that we're supposed to represent, we don't want them to know what we really think and say, do. So take your ass off stage. It's embarrassing, but it's for the better good on what he wants to say to the American people. Here's one more. Ron Johnson. This is talking all the Johnsons, Mike Johnsons and Ron Johnsons, who was part of the attempt to overturn the election. Forget that either. Here's his dumb. Go, Ron.
This fringe agenda.
Come on, Ron. And it is quite honest.
Includes biological males.
That one's not going to work, you guys. Mike Johnson's talking about biological males competing against girls. He has some divisive things to say. So the normal things you may go about. They're trying to put these boys in girls' bathrooms. Again, these things are only brought up when they need to rile up crowds. But I do remember after Donald Trump got shot last Saturday, they said, you're going to see a unity RNC now. You're going to see a unity president. We're going to talk about unity now because we're beyond all this. We're tired of it. Yet a lot of these speeches were all about division. Marjorie Taylor Greene had similar lines too. These, I mentioned it a minute ago, these trans folks on Trans Awareness Day, it fell on Easter. Can you believe it? I have a really good idea. For those that celebrate Easter, go celebrate Easter by rolling chicken eggs around with someone in a bunny costume telling your kids to go pick up the candy and the eggs. What does that have to do with Easter again? But it fell on Easter. So if you recognize any humans as humans, the way we call them non-humans, then that's an offense to us. I have a really good idea how you don't have to listen to people talk about how trans folks are humans. Don't listen. Go and roll your Easter eggs, paint them in color for some reason, put them under a bush somewhere and let little Johnny go find them. That's all. Do it, bro. It sounds like fun. I did it my whole life growing up. It was pretty fun. Keep doing it, bro. But why do you have to care about what someone else is doing on that same day? The world and the atmosphere and energy and air is not yours. Let other folks live. But instead, this becomes a platform on the stage of the RNC for a president who has a pretty good chance of winning. And this is what they're talking about. So as they talk about you sitting around the dinner table trying to figure out how to pay your bills and pay for the mortgage and then somehow come up with groceries and send your kids to the right schools, what they're talking about on the stage is Easter and Trans Visibility Day. By the way, this is what really stuck out to me as far as this whole division argument goes, because apparently Anna Nawaz from PBS NewsHour, she tweeted this, X'd it, posted it, whatever you want to call it. She asked specifically about Ron Johnson's divisive language, because again, he's one of the ones who said, I believe on Meet the Press or one of the Sunday shows, that this is a unity party now. We're going to get to unity. We're not going to see all this division anymore. She says, I asked Ron Johnson about him calling Democratic policies a clear and present danger to the country. That's what he said also in that clip. While calling for unity, he says the speech he just delivered at the RNC was not the one he intended to give. That the prompter loaded the old version and the new one called for unity. There's layers to that. So he had an old speech that had all this divisive language in it. After former President Trump got shot, then we're coming to unity. I had a whole new speech loaded. I didn't write it, but someone wrote it, and they loaded a unity speech I was supposed to say. But again, those damn teleprompters usurped my energy. Just like they got Mike Johnson. They got Ron Johnson too, because the teleprompters loaded the wrong version. And when the wrong version of my speech about unity is loaded and it goes to divisiveness, I guess I got to read the divisiveness. Where are your thoughts? Where is your unity thought process? Do you believe in unity? Apparently not. Because if it's not written in the damn teleprompter, you don't have it in your brain. Is there any thoughts that you've ever had about unity that you can maybe come up with? For maybe 10 to 15 minutes, you can talk about your experiences. You're in Congress. Don't you have some messages of unity? Maybe there's some stories you could tell of talking to some folks that you like that are maybe on the opposite side of the aisle, and maybe we could generate that energy throughout the country. No, he doesn't have any of those messages because the teleprompter didn't tell him to. These are the folks that you think are leading the country and are giving policy that changes your life. Other folks are telling them what to say, do, dress, act, stand, blink, and smile. And of course, call for fights. That's what they did on the floor of the RNC as well yesterday. They screamed, fight, 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 with J.D. Vance's ass up there pumping his fist. This is the party that we're talking about here. So every time they talk about how they're not this violent party, look at these violent Democrats that want to actually give people opportunity in this country. Can't believe it. This is their narrative. Keep listening for the unity. Maybe it'll switch today. It's Tuesday here. So it's only been one day, and it's been, of course, the speakers will build. There'll be a stronger set of speakers in their mind every day. Folks with bigger names and bigger platforms and things that they have to say. I'll have to look at the rundown for today before I jump back on a little later on to talk about what it is that they're going with. Really fast, I know a few of you guys are here. What's going on, Benjamin Morrell? Thank you for the super chat, saying thanks for these live ones, brother. Thank you for the not live ones. Thank you for being here for us. There's lots of us here for you guys, man, but I appreciate you guys being here with me as well, though. The RNC is just usually it's a good time. This time we have to figure out what is it they're saying, doing, and where it is they're going with these messages. Again, message for the RNC is unity. I didn't say it. Republicans and conservatives said it. We'll see if they actually can get on track as they continue on during the week. We'll see you guys. We'll see you guys in a few more hours after I have a couple of these other things that happen. I'm going to dig deeper into the J.D. Vance pick. I did a live yesterday on that, but I'm going to get a little more detailed and direct with that. And then I'll come back around as the crazy folks talk throughout the rest of the day. Glad to see you guys. Good morning again. Have your coffees and your donuts. Those aren't good to have in the morning, but still we do that for some reason. See you guys. See you guys a little bit later on, man.